Hello, viewer. Bailey again. Thank you for tuning in again to the Cut the Crap channel. And this video is called Beware of Elephants. There are elephants everywhere. Very dangerous. And going to be talking about a pretty interesting personal experience I went through back in 2015, and just some things I learned that I believe are from the Spirit of the Lord. And to give you a bit of a clue up front, when I'm talking about elephants, it's basically a person that's kind of a bully, that kind of gets up in your business and is like, oh, well, you need to be doing this and you need to stop doing that and blah, 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 just that type of thing. So, all right, so to start off, 2015, around the summer, I had this pretty powerful spiritual experience where the Lord was really setting me free from a lot of stuff. Now, at the time, I was living in a homeless shelter, and prior to that, I guess I had been just kind of under a lot of condemnation. I'd kind of felt that, like, I'd just really screwed my life up pretty bad, and felt pretty far from the Lord, and but the Lord really broke through in a pretty amazing way. But anyway, I had come back to Atlanta recently, kind of on faith. I didn't really have much besides my car, and shortly after I got to Atlanta, my car broke down, and so I pretty much lost my car. But anyway, so I eventually ended up at this other homeless shelter program in West Atlanta. And, and this program, probably like many homeless programs, you basically had two options. One, if you were like somehow disabled or there was something wrong with you, okay, well, you could put in a disability claim. And so the plan was, okay, eventually you'll be on disability. But I really didn't think there was anything wrong with me like that. So I was in the jobs program. So I was expected to find a job. And when you're in, also I didn't hardly have any money. So that situation, you're not really expected to really find a good job, although I guess that might happen. But, generally if you're in a homeless shelter, you're basically looking at just kind of really getting a crappy job somewhere where you're probably working really hard for not a whole lot of money. And so, I'd entered this program recently, and, I needed some money. I was thinking about what to do. It's like, okay, well, the quickest way that I could think of to get money would be to, go down to Labor Ready at 5 in the morning or whatever, and, try to get something that'd probably pay $8 an hour. And, the more I thought about it, it was like I really, really didn't want to do that. I felt a lot like I should do that, but I really didn't want to do it. And one of the things I had learning was that sometimes when I feel like that, not all the time, I mean, sometimes there's things you got to do that you just don't feel like doing, but sometimes I think, when you have this feeling, oh, you really just have to do this, or you really should do this, but something in you just is really crying out, no, I do not, please don't make me do this. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe there's something else you can do instead. And so I had the idea that I would try to make some money by going out and telling jokes. And, I had a little bit of money, so I was able to, buy some, some poster board and some markers. And I was thinking, okay, well, what and I knew part of what I'd been going through at the time. I was just finding a lot of things funny, and I was like laughing a lot at stuff, and so I thought, well, maybe the Lord wants to, I don't know, maybe use my sense of humor somehow. So I'm thinking, well, what kind of jokes, could I tell? And so what I came up with were elephant jokes. And if you've never heard of these, elephant jokes kind of came out in the 60s, I guess, when a lot of people were on drugs. And they're just these very, very silly quips, jokes that kind of like build on each other. Like, there's the one that I was telling at first, was like, how do you kill a blue elephant? You shoot him with a blue elephant gun. And how do you kill a pink elephant? Most people would think, oh, well, you shoot him with a pink elephant gun. But no, the answer is you hold his trunk until he turns blue, and then you shoot him with the blue elephant gun. So basically, I made a sign that said, like, oh, how do you kill a blue elephant? And I went to a few different places, and it was, and I had a few people give me a little bit of money. People thought I was somewhat amusing. I also discovered that what I was doing was considered by the city of Atlanta to pretty much be not the same as panhandling. So, but because I had a cup, which indicated that I was looking to get money, and anyway, but. So at one point I went to this like big art festival, that was, I guess, I think it was at Piedmont Park in Atlanta, and so I have my sign, and this woman, so I asked someone, well, how do you kill a blue elephant? And the woman's like, you love him. I was like, oh no, these people are too nice, and they're like these like kind of liberal hipster type people, I guess. They don't want to kill the elephant, even though it's not really a real elephant. It's just an allegorical elephant. So, so anyway, so then I changed it to a different elephant joke, like how do you tell if an elephant's been in your refrigerator? But, so anyway, but as I was doing this, it was odd. I started having more and more thoughts pop into my head about elephants, and I started feeling this urge to warn people about elephants, and they're like, beware, watch out for elephants. And at first, I really didn't know why I was doing, what is this? Why the heck am I telling people to watch out for elephants? It's so, and then it started to kind of dawn on me. I made this like an elephant. I had this other poster board I made. I don't remember exactly what I had on it. I know I had this part where I had a picture of an elephant, and he was saying, "How dare you say that?" And so it's and so I guess basically my message was, that okay, well, if you got people in your life that are really kind of pushing you around or telling you what you need to be doing, and or you need to be doing this and stop doing that, yada yada yada. So that's you can resist that. And another thing, and I was posting stuff on Facebook as this stuff was coming to me. I don't know what people thought of all this, if they thought I was kind of crazy, but one thought I had about was lions. And now I don't know if there's probably isn't supported biologically, but I'd have thought, well, a lion can beat an elephant without even having to fight it. And the way the lion beats the elephant is that he roars. And so how is just roaring going to beat the elephant? Well, one, the lion's roar is really loud. And two, the elephant has really big ears. So the loud roaring really hurts his ears because because he has such big ears, so that it makes the lion, when the lion starts roaring, the elephant will go away, and so a lion roaring, that's essentially somebody that's standing up for themselves and speaking truth. I had looked up this one. I mean, you could look it up on YouTube, but it's from the movie Office Space, where like the Jennifer Aniston's character, she's a waitress, and she has this really irritating manager who's constantly bothering her because she doesn't have enough pieces of flair on her uniform, which is like various, they have, different little things with slogans and stuff they can put on. And so they're required to have at least 15 pieces of flair, but they're encouraged to have more. And so she has 15, and at one point the manager's, getting on her case because, you don't want to just do it. And so she finally goes off on her manager, tells her how stupid the job is, and quits, which I don't recommend, doing unless you're really sure about that. But, so that's the type of thing, that I'm talking about. So anyway, what does all this elephant stuff mean anyway? And so like I said earlier, I'd say an elephant or spiritual elephant is not. This isn't something like some people will actually talk about being able to see into the spiritual realm and actually see demons and stuff. That's never happened to me. So this was more just stuff that popped into my head, and it seemed to connect or make sense. But it's like, because like an elephant comes up on you, like what like say some animals will have different ways of attacking you. They might have like sharp claws, sharp teeth. Snake could have poison. But elephant doesn't really have anything fancy like that. Elephant just comes up on you and is so huge, he just frickin' tramples you, he just crushes you. And so, people with this spirit, that's basically kind of what they do. They just, just come up on you and just blah 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 blah, and just and it isn't, and I'm making it sound like it's a really loud, aggressive person, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. It could be a lot more subtle. And now the type of people I guess this would apply to, certainly it can apply to anybody that's in a position of authority, that's maybe getting a big head and being pushy or whatnot, or people in positions of power. But I would say one group in particular that you can find people that have this elephant on them is sadly among religious people. And I would even say that it's kind of like this religious spirit where, and it can be particularly like if you're somewhat naive or somewhat new in the faith, you might like look at somebody who's like very, like charismatic, or somebody that's really flowing in the gifts of the spirit, or is just very like articulate and but the danger of that is like if that person comes up and starts saying a bunch of stuff they're really not hearing from the Lord about, they're saying, oh well, God told me this about you, but it's not really from God, it's from somewhere else. That can really do a lot of harm to a person, because you could be like looking at that person is almost like in the place of God, as if like God is actually speaking this to you. So Now, one expression that you won't really hear, well, church people use, but you'll hear, secular people use. Well, basically, well, F you, like, and obviously I didn't say the whole word, but, and one thing I realized about that expression, F you, is that, it's not so much that it's not so much that you're cursing the person or even attack the person, but it's a way of saying, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's a lot of garbage, and I just reject it. I reject all of it, get out of my face with that stuff. So it's, I think sometimes, maybe we don't use those specific words, but sometimes that's just what you need to do, because people can even unconsciously speak things over you that can really be, without realizing that can really be a curse, and so you don't want to come into agreement with that. Like when I was going through, I don't know, the spiritual awakening, I guess shortly before I came back to Georgia, I spent a day at this hotel, and I'm in the elevator, and this one woman tells me, "Oh, your shoe's untied. You better, watch that, or you might trip." And I said back to her, I really don't want to trip. You can trip if you want to trip, but I don't want to. And, I guess she thought that was kind of funny. But it's like the type of thing, people might say, well, you're really prone to be this way, or, you really need to be, more careful. I think that's a big thing where, we can be concerned about people and tell them, oh, well, be careful. And which, it's fine to, I think it'd be better to just say, maybe I care about you, because it just be, we're supposed to, because according to the Bible, at least like in Philippians, we're not to be careful or full of care, like that's what kind of implies being like full of anxiety. You don't want to be stupid and reckless, I guess, but yeah, so it's just a lot of things like that. So, and I'm going to get on a little bit of a political tangent here, because later I came to the realization that, where I just found it interesting, that, the animal that's the mascot of the Republican Party is the elephant. And it's interesting because I would say when I look at, the tactics of like Republican politicians and Republican operatives and whatnot, a lot of their tactics is very much kind of being a bully. Like basically they'll, it's just kind of Republicans. They just seem to operate in herds, just one, and like, it's like they'll, like for an election, like their messaging, they'll just come out with all this. I'll give them credit that they fight and they're strong, although a lot of times they're just saying a bunch of lies or at least exaggerations, and it's just, and it's interesting, like, and I'm not criticizing anyone that votes, but, it's interesting comparing Democrats to Republicans is, I think, a problem that I've learned since I've been more involved politically with Democrats is that Democrats tend not to be as reliable with voting as Republicans do. So now Democrats will tend more to do things like vote early, vote by mail. But when that election day comes, those Republicans, like, they, like in the big herd, they go down and they vote. So it's just, don't mean to offend you if you're a Republican, although I don't know, maybe look at some of my other videos about voting and whatnot, but, anyway, just suffice to say, and what these things are really, and I wouldn't say I have a really great gift of discernment or anything, but I'd say they're really spirits, and a lot of times like religious spirits. And I think they can get on like people like pastors that are like just in positions of leadership, and you just need to watch yourself. You need to, and not just pastors. I mean, it could be like anybody. It could be like a parent who's like, maybe you have aspirations of being an artist, but your parent thinks that's a bunch of BS, wants you to go get a real job. And the truth is it's really none of their business telling you what kind of job you need to get. Now, if it's a situation where maybe they're letting you stay with them, then say like for free, then they could decide to kick you out, because it's their house, but they really don't have any business, telling you what kind of job or career, you need to pursue. That's your decision and yours alone. And so like I've talked about before, I think in another video, it's just very important. You need to be, whatever church you're in or anything, and regardless of how spiritual somebody may be, you need to be able to think for yourself and to hear from God for yourself. And if somebody I really don't think hardly anybody has a right to come up to you and tell you something like, oh, well, God wants you to do this, or, if God wants you to do that, why doesn't he just tell you himself, unless you're just really way, way off track and in the danger of perhaps dying or something, but, so it's just important to, again, be able to think for yourself, hear from God for yourself, and don't just let people, put stuff on you with their words, regardless of how well-meaning or well-intentioned they may be. So, anyway, I hope that helped somebody. Thank you for listening. Appreciate any of your comments, and please subscribe. And you can hit the bell so that you'll be informed of more videos as they come out. So, thank you, and you have a great day.